Clara Fox was the voice of the National Housing Conference, and I think perfectly aligned with that. John has always been the force behind that. He's been a fantastic supporter of the New York Housing Conference, and he's been an invaluable participant as vice chair of the National Housing Conference.
When I hear John's voice or when I'm talking to him, I think about family. I think in terms of housing family, but John comes from a big family.
I can't say there's any direct line between growing up in a large family and working in the career I have today, except that it did give me very early in life a sense of how to negotiate in chaos.
When I first met John Kelly, he was working for HUD. His boss had a nickname, No-No. So you didn't go to the boss, but you wanted to go around him to John Kelly in order to get things done. And did he ever get things done?
In 1999, most of our affordable housing practice was in Washington and Boston, and we thought it'd be fabulous to have a presence in New York. You know, we started thinking about who would be the perfect person to create that presence, and John Kelly was at the top of our list.
Since John joined us, he has grown not only his practice, but our affordable housing group here in New York City, that we now have 4 attorneys full-time and a former New York State Housing Commissioner. So we're very excited that John provided the catalyst for this to happen.
The key in understanding not-for-profit housing is the evolution of its complexity. John was just an expert. You could bring him to a community meeting and feel very, very comfortable that he would handle himself very well.
A lot of the new policies, John a lot of times is at the forefront of it. I mean, everybody seeks John's advice. I mean, not only private developers, but government entities. Everybody wants to know what John thinks about it.
From a governmental side, as well as from a development or even a banking side, he has seen both sides of it, and both sides call on John to solve a lot of the problems.
He can bring issues that we work on today into focus based upon his working on these issues 20 or 30 years ago, and there's nobody else in the city that can really produce that type of historical context and common sense approach to very complex matters.
Getting anything built today, it's a miracle that anything ever happens. And John understands how to get around the obstacles and get to a closing. He's a deal closer, and also, thank goodness, fun to work with.
He approaches the relationship with clients or with his colleagues without ego attached. There's nothing that he wouldn't do or that he would ask you to do that he wouldn't take on himself.
He approaches everything as being part of a team. We're all on the same page trying to accomplish something, and he creates that atmosphere.
You can't think of the legal side of affordable housing without thinking of John Kelly.
New York plus affordable housing equals John Kelly.
I'm an attorney, which means my life is completely surrounded by paper. Almost everything turns into paper. It's always incredibly refreshing for me to be able to drive around and actually see the projects that I worked on over time. It's great to be able to be in a field where you can walk down a block and look at something you worked on and actually feel, great, I was part of this. It's really good.
John.
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 You have been an important part of my team.
Clara would be very proud.
Congratulations, John, from your team at Nixon Peabody.